So I want to talk about landing gear in a wing. This particular model has wing landing gear. As you can see, there's a little shelf where the gear block is going to go in. Instead of a regular basswood or gear block made of hardwood, uh, I'm actually going to build up the gear block by installing a floor out of eighth uh, plywood, and then building up the sides of the block with balsa, with the grain going perpendicular to the channel. So uh, the wire, the music wire, will when it pushes up against the groove, it's actually going to push against the grain. And balsa has incredible strength, resistance to when you push against the grain. So if you push it this way, it's not going to break. If you push it obviously this way, there's a it'll break. If you push it this way, not a big deal, right? So we're going to take advantage of balsa wood. It's the way its strengths, and we'll see what happens. I've seen it done. Other models have done it, and I think it's not. It's actually going to be. I think it's a good idea, and you're going to have a very light gear block. So the other thing I've seen a lot of drawings call for these 30-second, 1/32 plywood to be basically glued to each side of the rib. So you glue it like that on one side and the other side. That gives you a very, very strong rib for landing gear support. I think it's a little bit of an overkill. 30-second, it's very strong. But in this particular design, we actually have 3 ribs going to have landing gear reinforcements. So if you think about it, 1/32 on both sides of the rib times 3 ribs, that's 16th on each side times 3, so that's 3/16. That's a lot of wood, and it can get heavy. So we want to avoid putting extra weight where it doesn't really need to be, and we can really save it just simply going to 64th. The 1/64th, especially if you glue it on both sides of the rib, it's just going to provide enough strength. But again, once you get into plywood that's that thin, you have to be careful how you cut it, or how you this force distribution. 64th and 30-seconds as well, but 64th in particular has grain, just like balsa, and it gets since there's only 3 sheets, they're fairly thin, so they're the very great. Lets you do something very flexible. The problem is it's not as strong, so we need to use the strengths of the grain. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna glue, instead of if you look at a rib, the strength or the force of landing is going to come up from below, pushing that way. So what we want is we want to glue the rib into the plywood in such a way that the grain is vertical. So when there's a force pushing from down below, it pushes against the grain of plywood,